So how do you handle someone who's aggressive, disrespectful, often translating into somebody who is determined to win at all costs, when your reputation, your client relationship or the outcome depends on how you respond? Most barristers and lawyers think they've got two choices. One is react, the other is avoid, but neither of these choices earns them respect. After years as a barrister, a mediator, high performance and leadership advisor and consultant, I found that the barristers and lawyers who handle these situations and these type of people best are the ones who make a different choice. But before I share with you that choice, let me first start by saying, for those of you who know you aren't going to stay to the end, I put together a free guide called Don't Give Aggressive, Disrespectful People What They Want. Do this instead. And it walks you through 4 practical steps to deal with aggressive behaviour without feeling like you have to defend yourself, explain yourself or fight back, really helping you to earn the respect and trust that you want. You can download it. It's down below here. The link is there for you to do that before you leave. So there are more than 2 choices available to barristers and lawyers. We can see that the common ones are react, defend yourself, explain yourself, fight back really hard, push harder, prove you're right, and often say something you'll later regret. And then we have on the right is the other choice, avoid. I'm going to not say anything. I'm going to walk on eggshells. I'm just going to put up with it. And I'll hope it stops in time. But there is a third choice, and that is the courage choice. Why is it courageous? Because it's not often practiced in legal practice. But that's what we're focused on today. How you are going to respond in situations with aggressive, disrespectful people. So the obvious question is, how do you stay in that courage choice when somebody is trying to pull you out of it, go to reaction or go to avoid? And it really does start with, what is your first decision? The first decision isn't what am I going to say, it's how will I operate. And I want you to think about a pilot. A pilot doesn't wait until the engine fails to then decide, oh, this is what I'm going to do. They're prepared for it. They've decided what they're going to do. They've rehearsed it. They actually have a checklist for the process that they will follow in the event of an emergency. But lawyers often do the opposite because they've never been taught how to deal with difficult, challenging people in situations, high-stakes rooms. Because good lawyers and barristers are taught how to prepare the law, the evidence, their submissions, but they aren't taught how to prepare themselves. So when somebody becomes aggressive, the first decision isn't your words, it's what are my standards? What am I going to tolerate? How am I going to operate? Think about the last aggressive, disrespectful person you dealt with. Do you have somebody in mind? Had you already decided how you wanted to operate if you knew that they were aggressive and disrespectful? But you're coming across disrespectful and aggressive people often in law. Have you already decided how you want to operate with these types of people? Or did their words and behaviour decide for you as to how you will operate? Legal preparation, very necessary, but it prepares you to solve legal problems. Whereas a preparation to be able to make that courageous choice is the preparation needed to be able to handle the people sitting across from us in high-stakes rooms. But even if you've decided how you're going to operate, there are still things that can pull us into those avoidance or reactionary patterns. Obviously, it's other people. Those aggressive, disrespectful, ego-driven, proving I'm right, you're wrong, blaming people, or win at all costs. But once you understand what they're trying to achieve by using this behaviour, you've got a choice to stop giving them what they want. Aggressive behaviour usually has one main goal, It's used to get what that person wants. One way is I'm going to be aggressive or disrespectful and I expect a reaction. Or you will defend yourself, or you'll explain yourself, or you'll lose your composure, give back what you get as good as you're getting, or you'll capitulate, or you'll lose ground. Every time that behaviour is employed and each of those reactions in response, that aggressive, disrespectful behaviour works. It's getting rewarded. I've seen this in practice in mediation countless times. In talking about mediation, if one person interrupts or raises their voice or gets a really sharp tone or talks over the other person or wants to prove they're right and you're wrong, or uses their power or status to get their way, what usually happens, the other person does start defending themselves. They start explaining why they're right. They talk a little louder. Their tone becomes a little more harsh. They push harder for what they want. And before long, nobody is talking about the legal problem that needs to be solved. What they're actually arguing about, even though they don't say it explicitly, is this is the behaviour that I've experienced, or the words that I've experienced. This is how it's made me feel, and this is my reaction to it. That's how the conversations go. But the moment that somebody stops rewarding the aggression or the disrespect, the conversations change. I want you to think about the last time somebody was aggressive with you, or belittled you, or blamed you, or deliberately tried to get their own way at your expense. Were they trying to solve a legal problem? Or were they trying to change your behaviour? The moment you recognise that's what they're trying to do, you then have a choice to stop taking the bait. So if that's what they're trying to achieve, how do you stop giving them what they want? And this is where courage comes in. It does take courage to pause. It takes self-awareness and emotional regulation as well, but that's a whole different topic. But it takes courage to do things that aren't commonly practiced in law, because most lawyers and barristers have never been taught. So when somebody becomes aggressive or disrespectful or tries to overpower you, it's natural to have an automatic either physical reaction or words come out of your mouth. It's an automatic thing. But how we respond to that stimulus, to that aggression, disrespect, we do have a choice. We don't automatically have to react. We do have a choice how we respond. I want you to think about a yellow traffic light. It's not there to stop you forever. It isn't telling you to keep driving through. It's telling you to pause long enough to proceed when it's safe. That's exactly what a pause does. It creates a space between your automatic, and it's a human reaction when we feel disrespected, it's an automatic reaction that we have, a physical and emotional, and words come out, anger, etc. And how we're going to respond, it can be a really wide gap. So the pause does create, what it does, it creates that space between our automatic reaction and choosing our response. As I said, it takes courage to pause, to choose our response, not because you don't know what to say, because we need to decide whether that reaction deserves to become our response, or do we need to do something else? Because the other person is expecting some kind of reaction. They're expecting by their actions and words that you're going to fight back, or you're going to give as good as you've gotten, or you're going to capitulate, or you're going to shrink yourself. But instead, when you use this pause, it's very powerful. Saying nothing is very powerful. Let silence do the work. And it's probably going to feel very uncomfortable. Silence can feel a long time when it really is, in reality, just a fairly short amount of time. It's okay to be uncomfortable in silence. You don't have to fill the silence. While they're deciding what they're going to do next because they're not getting a reaction from you, you're deciding what you're going to do next. How are you going to respond? And that's a courage choice. And I'm not saying play nice, be soft. No, it has nothing to do with that. These are skills that will make you powerful. Sometimes saying nothing for 5 to 10 seconds, which would probably feel longer, takes more courage, self-awareness, emotional regulation than saying something that first comes to our mind, that we react and we want to give it back, and then we're going to regret it later. High-performing lawyers, they don't give back as good as they get. They choose what they'll tolerate and how they'll operate and respond. So in today's discussion, what came to your mind today? Who came to your mind today? What's one conversation or situation where you've been giving the other person exactly what they wanted because they've been aggressive or disrespectful? What will you do differently next time? So the next time somebody becomes aggressive or disrespectful, don't ask, what should I say? Ask, what will I tolerate? How will I operate? How will I respond? First of all, pause. Don't shy away from the uncomfortable silence. It gives you time to choose how you will respond. So the first decision you need to make is, what am I going to say? It's how will I operate? And to do that, you need to have very clearly defined standards, because aggressive words and behaviour does change the interaction, the conversation. But don't let it change how you operate. It does take courage to pause, but it does put the power back in your hands, because it gives you time to choose between your automatic reaction and the response that will give you the desired outcome. High-performing lawyers, they don't let the circumstances around them dictate how they will operate. They choose what they will tolerate and how they will operate. So today you've learnt the first step, pause. Sit with the uncomfortable silence. It will give you that chance to choose between your reaction and your response. They don't have to be the same. Choose your response. What you choose next time determines whether disrespectful or aggressive behaviour works or it doesn't. As I mentioned earlier, there's a practical guide called Don't Give Aggressive, Disrespectful People What They Want. Do this instead. So before you leave, you can download it. The link is below.